continues for the Buckeyes. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, taking in the Ohio State win in the Big Ten opener at Indiana, 51-10. Ryan Day must be saying at this point, that guy was a legend. He lost 9 games in 7 years. I don't know that I'm going to lose any. This is easy. Buckeyes win it again, 51-10 over Indiana. This has been a series that the Buckeyes have dominated. Yes, they've dominated. They've won 34 consecutive games, tied in 1990. Last loss in Bloomington, 1988, 41-7. Before that, they had lost pre-1987, going back to 1951. Yes, Indiana's program has been garbage for the most of their entire history. Ohio State is Ohio State. But it's been a close series in terms of the competition on the field in recent years. Even a 2015 Ohio State team that was loaded with NFL number 1 picks could barely survive inside the 5-yard line. The 24 team that won the national championship was down 1 in the fourth quarter. Yes, Indiana has been close with Ohio State. That's been the theme for the Hoosiers, not just against Ohio State, but they're the gold standard, but even against Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State. They take those teams into overtime. They take them to the final possession. They can't get over the hump and win. They're 1 in something like a zillion against the top 4 in the Big Ten East in recent years, with 1 win against Michigan State. But on this day, they were outclassed start to finish. Tom Allen had mentioned in the preseason that he expected this Indiana defense to be top 25 in the country. Well, they played Eastern Illinois last week. They played Ball State in week 1. Obviously, we had no idea at that point, but based on the display and performance today, Indiana does not have a top 25 defense, even if they're playing one of the best offenses in the country. All right. Tons of J.K. Dobbins. He was exceptional on this day, vintage 2017, and of course his freshman campaign 2 years ago started with a big day in the opener on a Thursday night at Indiana, running for almost 200 yards against the Hoosiers to let us know, I have arrived, J.K. Dobbins from Texas, and I'm going to be one of the best backs in the nation. Of course, he had a bit of a slump last year, but he looks to be on stride back in 2019. The Buckeyes dominant from the start. At one point early in the game, they had 94 yards, and Indiana had -7. Actually, Indiana's first 6 plays from scrimmage were all negative plays. Justin Fields, let's talk about his performance. Of course, against these type of teams, Indiana is certainly an upgrade over what the Buckeyes have faced the first 2 weeks, but still not at their level. The numbers are going to be big. He has scored or thrown for 4 touchdowns in each of his first 3 games. So more of the same. But in evaluating the performance on the field, Joel Klatt talked about it. Many of his passes are sailing wide or high, and that has to do with elbow placement, as Klatt analyzed and described and explained. Also has to do with not the follow-through, letting the ball go, not following all the way through, a la Mr. Tom Brady. But Justin Fields, that's nitpicky, great athlete, can really fire the ball, made a ton of throws, is not making bad decisions. So the decision-making has been solid by Justin Fields. And, of course, exceptional athlete, strong enough arm to make all the throws, as good as anyone in the nation. From that standpoint, the accuracy is really the missing piece right now. And, again, it's not all the time. It's at times. 14 of 24, 4 touchdowns, as we mentioned, his 3rd consecutive 4-touchdown game. He had a keeper for a touchdown to get the Buckeyes on the board 7-0. And then after the Hoosiers kicked a field goal, he went with a perfect bomb over the top to Chris Olave. The ball was perfectly placed. Again, the high throws are when he has to put velocity on it downfield. But when he has to throw the rainbow, he's throwing it well. He certainly did on that play from 37 yards out. We mentioned the Indiana field goal. They were driving down the field. The play of note for the Buckeyes on defense was Damon Arnett with Indiana throwing the ball into the end zone with Peyton Ramsey at quarterback. Damon Arnett made an exceptional pass breakup. The ball was hauled in for the touchdown. While it was brought down, Arnett, from over the shoulder, knocked it loose and kept Indiana off the touchdown scoreboard at 7-3. And later in the game, Damon Arnett returned a pick 6, 96 yards, the 5th longest play in Ohio State history by the defense. Chris Olave, a la Michigan, to close out 2018 with a couple touchdowns and a blocked punt. So he not only is a star receiver, special teams demon, blocks the punt, gets the safety at 16-3 Buckeyes. Dobbins had 2 exceptional touchdown runs, late second quarter, early third quarter, 56 yards in which the play was perfectly blocked at the point of attack. And then once J.K. got to the second level, he made guys miss. He outran guys. He threw guys off of him, bounced a bunch of tackles, and scored the touchdown to make it 23-3. K.J. Hill as well had a beautiful post fake to the middle of the field, shook the defender, went to the corner route. Fields hit him on stride, and that was another touchdown for the Buckeyes right there. J.K. again on a 26-yard scamper, again showing off his game-changing ability to break tackles, scores to make it 30-3. J.K. Dobbins, after the first drive of the third quarter, had 194 yards rushing by the first drive of the third quarter. Enough time for Master Teague to come in and show his abilities. 10 carries for $106 and a 40-yard touchdown run. IU basically had its last chance of staying somewhat in the ball game on a double pass in which it completely fooled the Ohio State defense on the double pass again. Donovan Hale hitting Peyton Hendershot. Hendershot was talking about much during the week as the tight end, because that's been the one position on the field that has hurt the Ohio State defense against FAMU and against Cincinnati. The tight end could be utilized down the seam. Hendershot did not hurt the Buckeyes on this day, though. The Ohio State defense, despite being fooled on that play for the one touchdown, Indiana needed a trick play to score a touchdown. That tells you enough right there. Chase Young and the boys were the silver bullets truly on this day. Peyton Ramsey started at quarterback for Indiana. He has been recently the starting quarterback over the last few years, but he gave way to Michael Penix, who beat him out as the IU starting quarterback. Penix is injured, a better thrower. Peyton Ramsey more of a runner. 20 of 34, but just for 166 yards, as Indiana could not stretch the field despite some exceptional playmaking ability both at running back and wide receiver. We talked about it all week in analyzing this game, that Indiana really, if Tom Allen was speaking facts in setting up the Indiana defensive play as being top 25 of the nation, wow, look out. But that certainly wasn't the case. But at running back and wide receiver, Indiana almost as good as anybody in the conference, maybe on that next level with the likes of Stevie Scott, of course, who had the great freshman year last year. Kevin James and Ronnie Walker were 2 highly sought-after recruits at running back. Whop Filior of the Burger King Whopper, yes. Donovan Hale, Nick Westbrook. It's a great receiving core for Indiana standards, and they should make a lot of plays in the future, but not on this day against the Buckeyes defense, which certainly seems to have cured the ills of 2018. We will see against better offenses starting possibly in a few weeks against Adrian Martinez. Ohio State's biggest win against Indiana since way back in 2006 when they dominated the Big Ten en route to the BCS championship game. They won that one 44-3. They win this one 51-10. Buckeyes get Miami of Ohio next week before they dive back into Big Ten play on the road at Nebraska. Much anticipated game. And then, of course, for Indiana, they close out the non-conference games with UConn before they take on Michigan State. In action right now against Arizona State in quite a tussle against the Sun Devils at home. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please grab my weekly predictions down in the description section below. Go to the link next to the voice of college football community. I'm 31-20 against the spread. I'm 46-7 against the money line. Check out my predictions right there. And go to Bet Now. That's also down below in the description section. Go to betnow.eu. Use the promo code MRTVCFB, MRTVCFB. You get 100% added to your account if you use that promo code in that link that you see down below. We'll be back with more instant analysis from the day in college football, Week 3, right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.